What is up, guys? Welcome back to Blues Fans TV. Before I get started, do not forget to subscribe, hit the like button, follow me on Twitter. Anything you want to do, do that. Right, and I'm very happy that I'm coming with you with good news today. We've got a victory, a solid victory amongst some tough opponents, which was very good today. Um, I really enjoyed the lineup. I'll try and get that up for you right now. So, lineup wise, I was pretty chuffed all round, to be completely honest with you. Is this the right one? Yes. So, as you can see, we've got Mendy in goal. We've got the centre backs. Christensen was set to play, but I think he got a very minor injury during training or during the warm up. Reports have been said that it's not dangerous. It's not a tough thing, but it was more cautious to play Zuma and Rudiger rather than get Christensen on as well. Hudson and Doy swapped out for Reece James, which did work. And it's not obviously I'll get to the things in a bit. I'll just wait for more people to sort of fill themselves in and stuff, and I will get onto it. Jorginho and Kovacic in that double pivot again. Didn't really put a foot wrong. I'll get more into it as time goes down. We got Big Ben Chilly, my favourite player, which I'm sure you're all aware of by now. And in my opinion, what should be our main front three. We've got Pulisic, we've got Havertz, and we've got Mount. And he came in clutch. King Kai came in clutch today, as did Christian Pulisic, which is fantastic. So we'll get into that now. Once again, do not forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And this was a big game for Tuchel yet again. It was it was for him to prove that he can bounce back after a really shocking defeat last week. No one came out with their tail between their legs, and we went for it, and we scored 4 goals, which is insane. It was insane to think about, to be perfectly honest with you. A really good win all around. Hello. Nice to see you again. And then what we got here. So we'll get into have a couple of questions before I go into my player ratings. Then you can all argue with me after that. Pulisic is underrated. I disagree. I think he's rated quite highly. I don't think he has been playing as well as he should, which is why I think people that haven't followed his career for very long don't necessarily rate him. I wouldn't call it underrating. I just don't think they've seen him perform well enough, and hopefully now we have done. Then we have. It could have been 7 goals. You are correct, but you can't really argue. I mean, Havertz did have a bit of a dip in form halfway through the second half. You think after his goal, he was brilliant for the last 20 minutes of the first half, and then didn't really come out of the breaks more than that. Absolutely, we could have scored more, but then again, anyone could score more if every shot went in. And then what I'm going to do now, guys, now there's a few of you in here, I'm going to get onto my player ratings. So we have got, I've given Mendy, I've given him a 7. The goal wasn't his fault. He was solid, and I couldn't really give him any more than that because he didn't really have that much to do, which is brilliant for a goalkeeper. But that's how it goes, and you got to be happy with it. Unlucky for that, he couldn't have done anything about the goal. It was a great header. That was more so Chilwell. But Aspie, I've given Aspie a 7. I've given Aspie and Rudiger a 7. They were both pretty solid. I would have given them more. But we've conceded a goal, so you can't really do anything about that. Unfortunately, you can't say they deserve more, and you can't say they deserve less. They were both solid and really, really good. I've also, of course, given Kurt Zuma. I've given Kurt Happy Zuma. I've given him an 8. So we're going. The other 2 centre backs are a 7. Mendy's a 7. Zuma's an 8. The goal was fantastic. It's what we've seen from him. He's now, I believe, he is the, if not one of the highest scoring defenders this season in the Premier League, and that just goes to show how much of a powerhouse he has become, which is the person we thought he was going to be before the injury, and he's come back, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Callum Hudson and Doy. I might get some stick for this, but I've given him a 6. Reflecting on that might be a bit harsh, but you know, his final ball wasn't too fantastic. He did get the assist, of course, he got the assist, um, but there were one too many times before his assist and after that his final ball just wasn't beating the first man in defence, which is why I gave him that. He also came off for those reasons, I believe. So I can't. I'm not giving him more than a 6. And the goal, although Kante, it was partly to blame for that as well. The goal did come on his side, so that is why I've given him a 6. I have given the double pivots. I've given J5 and Cover. They've both got 7s. That again, you might think that's harsh because I know how much you guys love them. I really like them also. But yeah, there's just certain parts of their game where they do look a bit. There's a couple of loose balls at the beginning. I know we got off to a flying start up front, but some of the pass backs were looking a bit worse for wear, and we did sort of let them in a little bit more in the second half. Of course, they were sort of playing 10 yards further up the pitch, but that is why I've given them a 7. Now, Chile, I've given Chile a 7. He was very much to blame for letting Benteke jump all over him. He didn't. He could have done a lot better. It wasn't his best game, but what can you do with that? He did his job properly until that one error in judgment. I can't give him more than 7, possibly a 6, maybe. But he was quite quiet for what I've seen him today. But then again, he can't score a worldie every week, can he? Mason Mount, who was the official man of the match, I'm giving Mason Mount an 8. I'm giving him an 8. He was everywhere. He was fantastic from start to finish. Literally box to box midfielder. I know some people think he's probably playing a bit too far up the pitch, but I completely disagree with that. I think he's playing exactly where he should be. He can be a little bit too greedy at times, but what are you going to do? If they go in, he's a genius, and if they don't, he's greedy. So sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other for that one. But yes, I'm giving him an 8. I'm also giving Kai Havertz an 8. I think Kai Havertz was my personal man of the match. I think he was fantastic. He was everywhere, popped up in places I hadn't seen him on the pitch before. Got his goal, got his assist, a very lovely goal as well. I think he was fantastic. And of course, Christian Pulisic, I've given Captain America a 10. He scored 2 goals, very sharp throughout the whole thing, really committed for his second goal as well. Nice, strong, and it was really, really good to see. Now, guys, any questions whilst I'm going to do the substitutes as well, but I will answer your questions as time goes past. I don't think he was poor at all. I think he's a young player. He's 21 now. A lapse in confidence. He scored a really good goal. He was everywhere on the pitch today. Yeah, but he scored one, and he added to our biggest goal tally under Tuchel. You can't. It's almost like Havertz can't win sometimes with certain fan bases because he scored well, he did brilliantly, and he was involved the entire game. Just because he didn't score every single shot that came to him doesn't mean he had a bad game. And the substitutes, we had Ziyech, James, and Kante. I can't give Ziyech any more than a 5. He had a very good pass to Havertz, which should have ended up in a goal. But he wasn't on for very long at all, so it would be unfair for me to give. Reece James, gave him a 6. Good assist. Very strong. We looked very strong when he came on. It was really, really good. And Kante, I'm also giving a 6. If he finished, he could have had 4. Yeah, he could. But he hadn't scored for a very long time, and he has scored a goal now. So hopefully that form keeps going. I was surprised that his confidence from the first half that we saw just before we went in, he was fantastic. I thought he was on the get for a hat trick. But it was quite difficult in the second half. I mean, they went to a much more of a sort of back five. And then exactly, this is what I'm saying. It's just glimpses of what he can do. So hopefully we'll see more and more and more of it. But Palace went into much more of a back five, but they also pushed us up a lot further. So it was a bit more difficult for him to get a goal. But yeah, other than that, I don't think Mount should get a 9. Yeah, it probably was. I mean, he was the official man of the match. It's just, I think, for me, the reason why I picked Havertz is because I'm very much used. This might be a silly thing to say, but I'm used to Mount performing that well, and I'm not used to seeing Havertz like that. So I picked that because that is what I want to see from Havertz week in, week out. I'll get on to that in a minute. What game would I start Werner? I wouldn't start him against Porto. I don't think it would do any good for his confidence, let alone the team's, because the way we play is against Porto. The way we played there, the long balls weren't reaching him because he was being pocketed and he wasn't winning any headers. He's not very strong in the air, so I wouldn't start him against Porto. I might start him in the cup game against City, but that really depends on what system Tuchel's going to go. I know he's sort of keeps 3-4-3. And I don't. So what does this guy think? You think Kovacic was man of the match? Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, he had a very good game. Don't get me wrong, but I think in terms of influential plays, there were at least 2 or 3 people on the pitch that had more than him, which is why I went for Havertz, because he was much more involved in the final third. And the final third is where we as a team have been lacking, and we weren't lacking there today. We were really good in all walks of the pitch, so it was nice. And then look at that. We've got Chelsea's future. Look how bright it looks. We've got Havertz, Mount, Pulisic, Reece James, Callum Hudson and Doy. It's a great. It was really nice to watch. It was a nice game. It could have put a few more chances away, but everyone could have put a few more chances away in every single game you look at. You know, if I was Haaland, where would I go? I would go. I don't know. I think if Haaland's I obviously want to see him at Chelsea, but I think he's got a bit of history with City, isn't he, with his dad and all that lot. So, but I do think it's a 2-horse race for now. I don't think the Spanish league, the Spanish teams are going to get him. I don't think they're performing well enough to warrant him being there. And obviously, it's El Clasico tonight, and it's quite important. What is it? Barca. I think Barca are 1 point off Atletico, and Madrid are 3. So that's important today, which should be good. I don't know, what would I like to see? Would I like to see Giroud start versus Porto? Werner versus City. Oh, that's what you'd like to see. Okay, that's fair enough. I'd maybe even swap Tammy and Giroud around and see how Tammy fares against when we play Porto. And if it doesn't work, you can drag him off at half time. But yeah, I'd agree with that. I think I don't know. Werner's probably pace wise, we're probably going to need Werner for City, given how tight they can play and how quickly they all. I mean, I don't even know where half of the Man City players play. They just play on the pitch. They're so good. And then you don't think we need Haaland? We have Werner. Um, that is absurd. But I don't. If there's an opportunity to get Haaland, it would be fantastic for us. We need a striker. We need a proper striker. You know, people are hating on Werner, and myself included, sometimes to be harsh, but he's not an out and out number 9. And we need one. We need one because we can't keep people. We cannot keep making this poor man play where he doesn't feel comfortable and then slating him for not looking comfortable. It's unfair, and I'm what a person to blame for that, but it is unfair. You can't do things like that. Liverpool fan with us with us winning, you think Leicester and United would be under pressure? No, I don't. I think dependent on if West Ham have a dip in form, I think the top four now are the top four at the end of the season. Very much so. But again, West Ham they're having a fantastic time. So maybe left-footed player as well. A left-footed centre back. I don't know really. I'm quite happy with our centre backs at the minute. I know like there are mistakes in them, but there's mistakes in everybody. And if you keep chopping and changing, there's going to be more mistakes because the chemistry in the players is going to go. Keep the people we've got now; they've been fantastic. Would I have taken Jimenez before the injury? No, I would not have taken Jimenez before the injury. He is a good goal scorer, very solid in most of the games we see. But that is, with all due respect to them, that is for Wolves and for the way Wolves set up. I don't think he fits our system, and I don't think it would be fair to buy someone like him who is proven that he works in a very specific system to then go to a system where he may not see fit, and then we again have a confidence issue with people, and that's not what you want. And then we got here Andre Silva. Do you know what? If I'm completely honest, I wouldn't be able to tell you too much about him. So it will be unfair for me to guess. I know he plays for Frankfurt and stuff like that, but I haven't seen enough Bundesliga football to know if he's any good. And that might be a bit of a cop out. But yeah, I can't really give an opinion on that. So hold my hands up and apologise there. Again, okay, that's fair enough. But you remember that is in the Bundesliga. And we've just bought two people from the Bundesliga, and 95% of the fan base aren't happy with the people we bought in the Bundesliga because they're not performing like they should have done. So I think let's sort out the problems we have at home before potentially bringing more ones in from different leagues. I think Tomori is also class. Yeah, I think he was right to go on loan to Milan. He's getting game time, which he wasn't seeing under Lampard, and I don't think he would have seen that much of it under Tuchel. And I'd like him back if his form continues. I really would like him back. I think he's good. And then if anyone wants an update on the El Clasico, Benzema just scored, which makes it quite an exciting thing. So I think I said it a minute ago, and I think I was right. So Atletico are first. Barcelona are 1 point off. Madrid are 3 points off. So this is a huge Clasico, one of the biggest ones for a long time, I think. And I really agree with this. Fair enough. Like the Haaland, everyone wants Haaland. He's the golden boy at the minute. I don't think we need to sign anyone. I don't think we need to panic buy or anything like that, because the last time we panic bought, it was Kepa, and that hasn't gone very well, if you ask me. So I don't think we need to panic buy anybody. Centre backs, I think, doing absolutely fine, and I've got a nice surprise for you now, guys. I'm going to recap on my player ratings. So, as you know, Blues Fans TV, myself and a new guy named Kwaku, we are the new presenters of Blues Fans TV, and you're finally going to get to see both of us in the same place. So here is Kwaku. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm all good, Joe. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad, man. So I'm going to quickly run through. I'm literally going to go defense, midfield, strikers, and you can tell me I'm wrong about my ratings if you want.
Okay, perfect.
So I've got Mendy, Aspie, and Rudiger. They're all a 7, and I've given Zuma an 8.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think that's fair. I feel like Zuma obviously deserves the 8 because of the goal he scored. And the defense didn't really have that much to do. So I agree with the 7s for Mendy, Aspilicueta, and Rudiger. And yeah, an 8 for Zuma makes sense. I actually completely agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly the goal, but I'm a massive Zuma fan anyway. I rarely see him put a foot wrong, and if he does, it's an absolute clanger.
Yeah.
And then, so what have we got now? So I've given the win backs. I was a bit harsh. I gave Callum a 6 and Chile a 7. I don't know if you think that's too harsh, but the reason why I did it was because there were a lot of stray passes into the box on Adoy's side. I know he got his assist, but I just think quality-wise, if you had Reece James on that pitch and it was proven the second he got his assist when he came on, we would have had 2 or 3 more goals because of the final ball would have been better.
Yeah. Are we giving that assist to Reece James? It was a deflected cross.
I don't know. Well, because I think when you look at it, it is definitely a pass to Havertz, and then you got, I think it was Cahill's leg just got a brush on it. But I mean, the fact that it ended in a goal from a clinical cross from Reece James, I think they're going to give it as an assist, which is silly. But I mean, it just shows the impact he had the second he came on.
No, I completely agree with you. It just kind of showed the difference because I've been somebody calling for Callum to be starting at the right wing back position, maybe over Reece James. But we saw what happened when James came on. He was way more effective. Obviously, he provides that defensive solidity that we maybe didn't need against Palace, hence why Callum started. But Callum was kind of a bit frustrating in the first half. His touch was maybe a little bit off. There was opportunities where he could have made the overlap or the underlap and he didn't really spot them. And the final pass was just a bit off as well. So I agree with you in terms of the 6 for Callum and the 7 for Chilwell as well. It could have been higher for Ben if he had kind of, again, seen the final pass as an opportunity in the second half where he took on the shot and he could have passed it in the box for Mason. But I think that 7 for Chilwell is fair as well. So I completely agree with all the ratings you've given so far.
And then the double pivot boys, I've given J5 and Cover. They're both 7s as well. Purely because the impact our front 3 had today, they actually, compared to some other games, they had to do less. They sat back a lot more, which I quite enjoyed because that's what they're meant to do. You know, I don't want to see those two go too far out of position because the second they're gone, there's a huge hole that no one's going to fill because they are great here.
They are, and the thing is, I feel like because of the way Jorginho came in and because of the association with Sarri, he's always going to be judged a bit more harshly than he probably should be. I thought he was great. I thought he was great today. There was a couple of times where he made a decent interception or he played out of a tight space. Obviously, we know what Cover can do in terms of ball retention, and I thought they kind of helped us enforce our dominance on Crystal Palace and not give them a sniff. So although I do think 7s are fair, I don't think it'd be beyond the realms of fairness or possibility to maybe give one of them an 8. But 7s are fair because they didn't do anything spectacular. They didn't maybe contribute to a goal, but they made sure that we dominated Crystal Palace in the middle of the park.
Yeah. And the 3 boys up front, I did Mount and Christian. I did Mount and Havertz 8 and Christian got a 10.
Yeah, okay. I think Christian with a 10 is a bit high. I don't think he had like the perfect performance.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good. The best performance this season, akin to some of his performances last season, where we saw him absolutely rip it. In the same fixture last season, where we saw him score a fantastic goal against Palace, and it's great to see him recapture some of that form. But I'll give him a 9 just because I think there is room to improve. It's not similar to the game where he had against Burnley, where he scored a perfect hat-trick last season, which I think was a 10 performance. But I think it was really great. I think Kai Havertz probably gets an 8 from me. This is probably his best game in a Chelsea shirt in the Premier League anyway. But there were multiple opportunities where he could have maybe scored 2 or 3 more goals. There was the time in the second half where he got played through where the finish was a bit lackluster. He wasn't really decisive with it. But in the first half, there was probably like a 10-15 minute period where he looked like the second coming of Dennis Bergkamp. The touch was unbelievable. It was mad. It was crazy. It was crazy to see. And that's the Kai Havertz that we've all been wanting to see in terms of the highlights that we've seen with him when he was in Leverkusen. And I feel like he's got that in the locker. He just needs to kind of assert that a lot more. And then in terms of Mason, we know what we're going to get from Mason week in, week out. I think the TV broadcast gave him man of the match. I probably would have given man of the match to Christian Pulisic. But Mason was great, so I'll give him an 8. Obviously got the assist. And we're starting to see the numbers now for Mason a lot more in terms of the goals, the assists, and that's going to come with age. So, yeah, I'll probably give Mason an 8, give Christian Pulisic a 9, and give Kai Havertz an 8.
Yeah, fair play. Let's answer this question then. So, do you think we stick to that front 3 and then have Timo on as an impact sub? Or what do you think? Do you want us to change the front 3? I want to keep it. Don't know about you.
I like this front three. Obviously, there's so many questions being asked about clubs being linked with big strikers, but I think Kai Havertz can be our striker going forward. Although there are players that I wouldn't turn my nose up if we got them, I do think this front three works because Mason gives you that endeavour. Kai Havertz obviously is the man down the middle who we expect him to score our goals. And Christian Pulisic, when he's on form, looks like one of the best wingers in the league. So I do like this front three. But again, we've got so many great players going forward that it can be interchangeable. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I'm in sort of two minds about Werner, and I do agree with what this comment as well. You know, you drop Timo, who is, let's face it, he's having a dip in form. We've seen him in the Bundesliga. We know he can do it. And I did think dropping him today, although it might not have done a lot for his personal confidence, it did a lot for the team because you had three attacking players all striving and wanting to prove themselves. Not so much Mason, because we know what he can do. We've seen it. But with Christian, he had a bit of a dip in form as well, and Havertz, and they both came on today and they absolutely smashed it. So I'd like to keep this and see if it wasn't just a bit of like a hit and miss, and it's not just a one game thing, like a sort of one performance wonder. I want to see it once or twice more, and if it keeps working, I don't see any reason to change it. And then as far as Werner coming on as an impact sub, it really depends who you sub him out for.
Yeah,
because like if you no matter which one you take out there, they're completely different positions. So you take him out for Havertz, you lose the height and maybe the power. You take out Mount and you lose the sort of playmaking ability. And then you only want to really see him come off for Christian Pulisic. But if Pulisic plays like he does, I can't see him coming off.
Exactly. And I believe that Kai Havertz has to start because although he's maybe not the most physical, we see that if it's a front three and we're playing maybe with a false nine, we're playing Timo down the middle, we lack that height. There's no point getting balls into the box because we lack that height, especially with the midfield being pretty diminutive in Jorginho and Kovacic, and even when Kante's playing, he's pretty small as well. We need that kind of physicality, and I think that Kai Havertz can be that focal point. I think the team of Werner will have a place to play in this Chelsea team going forward. Maybe have to redefine how we think about Timo Werner in terms of we thought he was going to be this out-and-out goal scorer. Maybe he's not, but I think he will have a huge part to play for Chelsea going forward for sure.
Yeah, and when you think about it, this might sound harsh and people might disagree with me, but the difference in quality week in, week out from the English Premier League to the Bundesliga, is it fair to, like, you can't really justify, Werner's scored X amount of goals in the Bundesliga because realistically, you're looking at 3 or 4 difficult games a season on paper. I know there's obviously some world-class football matches that are like sort of 5-4 and stuff, but you're playing, you look at, I've forgotten the name of Huddersfield's old manager, but he was managing Schalke.
Yeah.
They were dreadful. I think you could sort of get 10 of your mates. You could give them like a solid go half the time. I don't think doing that is fair and Werner said it himself in one of his first interviews. I think it was Brighton. The physicality of the Premier League is unmatchable against anything. The amount of space he had in Germany, it's acres compared to what he's getting now, and I think he's struggling with it.
Yeah. 100%. I completely agree. And I feel like he will adapt to his game. And what I do like about Timo Werner, he's very forthright with it. He's not shying away in terms of that, like when he's interviewed, he's openly talking about his struggles and he's working his way through it, which I'd like to see because he's someone who is attacking the problem head on. And I think he will find resolution because like Tuchel said, he's someone who's always scored goals since he was like 10 years old. It's a case of kind of refinding that form, which he will do. It might not be a case of he's our 20 goals in the league striker that we maybe were crying out for, but he will definitely contribute to Chelsea going forward. There's no shadow of a doubt.
Massively. And what are your thoughts on Porto? So the second leg, how do you think we're going to fare? Are we going to park the bus a bit more than we've seen? Or do you think we're just going to go for it?
I think it's going to be very comfortable. I think it's going to be very comfortable against Porto. I know that it wasn't great in terms of the performance midweek, but we've got the job done almost like a perfect away European performance. I know it's at a neutral ground, but we've got the 2 away goals. And I feel like the second leg's going to be comfortable. I feel like we can score an early goal and just see it through. We score 1 goal early and the tie is done. And I feel like although we are scarred by the West Brom result, we might have been a bit tentative going into the Porto game and the Palace game. I feel like we've got more than enough to see it through against Porto and even get the win midweek. I think we might win it 2-0. So yeah, I'm pretty confident about the game.
Yeah, and opponents. If we're jumping ahead of ourselves, but semi-final opponents. Who do you really like? Realistically, I'd probably want Liverpool on a bad day, but on their good day, they're just as dangerous, aren't they?
Yeah. No, Liverpool are. The thing about Liverpool is that we are all scarred, and also we've had some good results against Liverpool in the Champions League, but it always just kind of throws up that unknown in the Champions League against Liverpool. No matter what form either team are in, it can go either way. Whether it's the ghost goal, the times we've got some penalties, the time it's always kind of drama with Liverpool in the Champions League. And we never draw at Real Madrid in the Champions League, not in my lifetime anyway. I know I maybe drew them in the Cup Winners' Cup, European Super Cup back in the day. But I would love to draw Real Madrid. I know it won't be at the Bernabeu, but just kind of playing against a team with the esteemed superstars and obviously Eden Hazard being there. I'd love to draw Real Madrid, and I don't think they're the same Real Madrid that have been kind of a European superhouse maybe the last 5-6 years. So I would like to draw Real Madrid, and I think we will draw them in the next round. What about yourself?
I'm probably leaning more towards you because but then again, I watched the Liverpool game today and they made a meal of it,
Yeah.
And like if we play the Liverpool I saw today or midweek against Madrid in the first leg, I want Liverpool. However, they're going to have to play like I know Liverpool can play in order to get there in the first place because they're already 3-1 down. So it's a bit of a catch-22. You want Liverpool to have a world-class game and then make them have a bad one when they play us, and that's unfortunately not how football works.
Yeah.
But can you see us? Can you see us in Istanbul?
Yes. I can. I can, and it's like I know it's so easy to draw the comparisons, but 2012 in terms of going through that fantastic journey, there are so many things that are comparable in terms of on that road we beat Benfica in the quarterfinals, a Portuguese team, and in this one, it looks like we're going to beat a Portuguese team in the quarterfinal, and even the way that Ben Chilwell around the keeper. I don't know. There's so many things that like our league form's not that great, but we've still got a chance in the FA Cup. I know you can't draw exact comparisons, but I just feel it. I feel that we've got a great chance of getting to the Champions League final, and if we get to a final in a one-off game, then anything can happen. So yeah, I can see us in Istanbul. It's just whether we win it or not, because the other half of the draw contains the best teams in the world, whether it's PSG, Man City, or Bayern Munich. So what about yourself? Do you reckon we'll get in there?
I think we'll get to the final, but I'm not in current form. I'm not liking the chances on the other side. I mean, like if PSG, I know they've got fantastic attackers, but they're putting 3 goals past Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And we've luckily up until West Brom, I don't think our defense could have been touched, but we have seen the weakness against, no disrespect to West Brom, a lesser side than people like Mbappe and people like that, which is mad. But I think if we have the drive we are meant to, we should do it. If the confidence is there, if the players that have a dip in form now find it before, and everything just sort of collides when it's meant to, I can't see us being embarrassed, and I can see us potentially coming out with a trophy at some point.
100%. I agree.
And what are you thinking cup-wise? I mean, we're sort of forgetting we're still in the cup. We've got City in the cup soon. What are you thinking there? Because in my opinion, City are the best team in Europe at the minute. I know they don't show it too much at the Champions League because they play. I'm watching them. They have to play slightly more defensive because their only weakness would be they bring so many bodies up. The speed of other European teams will just take them on the counter. So they do play a bit more defensive. But in the Premier League, I mean, points-wise alone, you can see how untouchable they are. Yeah.
Well, I feel like we can kind of take some solace and some hope from the Leeds result today, because obviously Leeds I think they had 2 shots on target, and City had, or 2 shots in the whole game, and City had 27 or 28, and Leeds beat them 2-1. So as good as City are, they're not go to the Etihad and sat them up at the beginning of the season. Granted, they're in a lot better form than they were then, but City can get turned over, and there was some vulnerability in in the Borussia Dortmund game, and the Bellingham goal got ruled offside or ruled out wrongly. So,
That was
so
mad.
it was crazy. It was crazy. So I do think that Man City, although they are supreme and they're imperious and they are the best team in this country by a country mile, I feel like we can't rule ourselves out in the tie against them. We saw Arsenal beat them in the Cup semi-final last year with a team that's a lot worse than ours. So I think we've got a chance. Obviously, they're the favourites, but there's no reason why we can't cause an upset in the semi-final of the FA Cup. And of course, it's a trophy that we've excelled in over the last couple of decades. So yeah, I think we've got a chance, but City are the favourites going into it. I fancy our chances more in the Champions League than the FA Cup, which is weird.
Oh, is it? You think we've got more of a chance, as in more of a chance, or you just think our hearts are in it more at Champions League?
I just think there's something strange in the Champions League this year. We're undefeated. We've conceded 2 goals in the Champions League. We in Europe, our form is just completely different. We look like a different side. Whether it's the game management in terms of seeing games through, or it's kind of pulling up results that we wouldn't normally put up in the league. I feel like in the Champions League, it's just got a different feel, and every game we go into, I'm quite confident about. Obviously, the semi-final is going to be difficult, whether it's Liverpool or Real Madrid. But in the FA Cup, I feel like City are going to be the favourites, but we've got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, what a story it would be for Tuchel to. I mean, hypothetically, you know, if you're looking at a Chelsea PSG final, wow. Because not only that, you got Poch on the other side now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, on paper, it's hopefully going to be one of the best games I've ever watched. But then I watched last year's Champions League final when Bayern PSG, it was a proper letdown.
Yeah.
Then again, you hype it up so much that you've got all these games. It comes down to this one game. They're normally really dull because no one wants to commit too much.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
But I can see it being. I know there weren't any fans in the last one either, but I think people are now so used to not having fans there for the big occasions. I think it might be slightly more open than if there were fans, because you do just have that, there's no 12th man there. So like both sides, I think sometimes I've seen it, even the West Brom game, you saw people, because there weren't fans there cheering them on, switch off, like their drive stops. You know, you go 4-1 down against West Brom, and there's no one cheering you back up.
That's the thing as well. And like, I think the lack of fans has helped Tuchel in terms of like his time at Chelsea, because he's been able to get very granular with the players, and he's been able to transmit his message to them very, very clearly. When he's not happy with somebody you hear it from the sideline. It's not a case that his voice gets lost amongst the fans. The players are being very, very well drilled, and I think you see it. And I think he's assessed the landscape. He's looked at it. He's like, I can make us defensively resolute, and then the attacking play will come next season. And I feel like he's been able to drill that. I think it's translated into the Champions League, where game management is the biggest thing. And taking your moments and being opportune in those situations are the biggest thing in the Champions League. And it's kind of works to our favour. So I feel like the lack of fans has almost helped us in terms of removing that emotion from it, and it just being strictly down to the manager's tactics, especially a manager who's coming halfway through a season. So yeah, fingers crossed he can do a Di Matteo and pick up 2 trophies, and we'll all be laughing come summer. So fingers crossed.
Exactly. And we'll go last question. And I know we're probably all bored of asking it and answering it, but striker-wise, who would you like? I know everyone wants Haaland, but realistically, would you actually like? Because I'm now steering towards the fact: do we want to get rid of the people we've got now for the sake of yet again a player that's proved himself in a lesser league to then come and not be all he's cracked out to be? I'm not saying Haaland is overhyped, because I think he's fantastic, but he's doing it in a lesser league. Is it just going to be another Timo Werner sort of thing?
With Haaland, it's a difficult one, because I feel like if he's up for grabs, you've got to grab him. It's one of these rare situations in football where he's being pitched to. Like his dad and Mina Raiola are going to all the teams in the world and being like, what's your project? Let us know what you want to do. What's your 5-year plan? Which is very, very rare for football. He's got every single option in the world, and we're going to be one of those teams that pitch to him. But again, you're correct. It's from a league that we know players sometimes struggle to make the transition to the Premier League. And we've seen with Chelsea strikers, whether it's Shevchenko, whether it's Kezman, whether it's Morata, whether it's Torres, we've made big money signings before and they haven't worked out. I'm not saying it's Haaland to be the same. The only difference with Haaland is that I feel like a big indicator is Champions League goals. and he's scored a hell of a lot of Champions League goals. And in the Champions League, you're playing against the best opposition. We saw what he did against PSG last year when he scored those 2 incredible goals, and we've seen what he's done this season as well. So I feel like with Haaland, I would never turn my nose up at it, but I would be more inclined to go for a more sure bet, like someone like Romelu Lukaku, who fits the description of the Chelsea striker in terms of what we've seen previously that work. So those big, burly strikers who can play with their back to goal, have kind of got a bit of an attitude, whether it's Diego Costa, Hasselbank, Drogba. So I feel like someone like Lukaku is more of a sure bet, but if Haaland's available, then you've got to go for Haaland. What about yourself?
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. And, it's a good point to bring up that he is scoring against the best opposition. So he's obviously got that in him. It's just, I don't want us to, we're not going to give up on them, but I'm very critical of when our strikers that we brought in to score goals aren't scoring goals. But
Yeah.
I'd be the first person, if they start scoring a brace every other game, I'll be the first person to say that I was wrong. I've got no problem with admitting when I'm wrong. I don't want us to get yet another string to our bow when we may not necessarily need it. But
Yeah.
If Haaland says, I want to come and play for Chelsea, you'd be a complete idiot to either say we don't need him or I don't want him. So I'm sort of in two minds, because of course if he was wearing a Chelsea shirt, the t-shirt sales would go through the roof.
It'd be insane. It'd be insane. Yeah. It'd be absolutely insane. He's one of the 2 hottest properties in world football, in terms of him and Mbappe. So like, if Haaland's available, you've got to go get Erling Haaland. But again, we had that trepidation because we've been scarred by Chelsea strikers who have flopped in the past. So
yeah, I suppose the difference between Havertz and Werner and Haaland is the 2 we've got at the minute. They're not strictly number 9s.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Haaland can do a lot more, but if you've got someone like him with his height, his aggression as a number 9, the confidence in your front 3 or 2 or whatever you're going to have is going to go through the roof, surely.
Yeah, 100%, without shadow of a doubt. Like, he's somebody that does command a lot of attention, and it will kind of shake up the dressing room. But Erling Haaland in the Chelsea shirt is something I'm sure all Chelsea fans would like to see. So.
And what you talking of Chelsea shirts, what's your opinions on this new kit?
I'm just not too sure on it. But the thing is, I feel like with all new football shirts, I'm just never too sure on it until like we start wearing it and then you get used to it. Like the one that everyone like slates in terms of the pink kind of blue kind of Crystal Palace like strip or imitation is one that like I feel isn't that bad. I feel like if somebody bought it for me, I would wear it. So I'm not sure on the new strip, but again, if the see players wearing it and we're successful in it, it's a kit that I'll be remembering fondly. So
yeah, fully. If you could sort of like bring a kit style back, obviously with the current sponsors at the minute, what were you thinking? Because I loved the can't remember what season. I had 11 on the back, so it would have been about 13 years ago. I love that sort of luminous greeny yellow one. I really like that, and I was getting hate for that. I love that one, man.
I love like back in the day, so like the Auto Glass, obviously Umbro one, like yellow, had like a collar on it. It was like yellow and blue. Like there's an incredible picture of Zola wearing it. That's probably one of my favorite ones. But I also love the away one from like the 04, 05, 05, 06 era, where it was white and then it had 2 blue strips down the middle. The Fly Emirates one. Yeah, so those are probably my 2 favorite Chelsea shirts.
Yeah, well, I've seen concept kits that might be likely like a second or third.
Yeah,
but I know what Twitter's like, man. You never know what's true.
Or what's not. Yeah, exactly.
But so we'll leave it after this. But final thoughts on today. How can we keep it going? How can we do better?
So I was disappointed to see us concede a goal, but overall it was a great performance. We absolutely dominated them in the first half. I actually was recording a podcast with my co-host earlier today, and we were kind of giving our predictions. And I honestly said that they're not going to lay a glove on us, which they didn't for the first half. Obviously, second half was a bit different. They scored their goal, whatnot, which is a bit disappointed to concede. But I was really happy with the performance overall. I don't think there's much to kind of add on to that. I feel like going forward in the Porto game, we might just see rotation. We might see Kante coming into the midfield just because we need that. So yeah, I think we might see Thiago Silva come in as well for the Porto game as well, hopefully. But yeah, I'm happy with our performance overall. And although the week started off, it's kind of ended on a high note. And yeah, onwards and upwards from here. What about yourself?
Pretty much the same. I was, yeah, it was a bit deflating when you the first 45 minutes. I didn't even see Mendy touch it with his hands. He only saw it with his feet, so he'd be disappointed. But can't blame him. It was a good jump from Benteke. He's a bit of a bogey striker. No matter who is in defence, he somehow always manages to score against us. It was a strong performance like throughout the entire pitch. No one really put too much wrong. Chile could have done slightly better with the goal, but other than that, what are you going to do? He's my guy, man. I love him. He's my favourite, so I'm not going to put too much dirt on his name. But going forward as well, Porto, I think it's probably I hope in the best way possible. In our way, it's gonna be a boring game.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the edge of my seat. I don't want to be panicking, waiting for us to score our first goal. So it's 2-1, 3-2 on aggregate or any sort of nonsense like that. I want it to be us. We get a 1-goal lead and we're boring. I want it to be boring in the best way possible, because that way it gets there. And to keep it going, I think that starting 11, with the exception of maybe swapping out, getting Kante and Reece James on the starting lineup, and Christensen whenever he feels up for it, and if hopefully his injury is not too serious. With the exception of them, I think don't change a thing. I know we've got Ziyech on the bench, and I know people are frustrated because we know what he can do, but at the minute he's not doing it, and the other people that are on the pitch, they're performing better. So let's keep it until it starts going a bit pear-shaped, and then we'll sort something else out. But until then, you can't fix what isn't broken. So let's keep it going.
I agree completely.
Yeah, massively. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the player ratings and just a general chit-chat. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow both of us on our respective Twitter pages and all that stuff. Hopefully, you'll see both of us again very soon. And until then, up the Chelsea.
Up the Chelsea.